Hey guys, I'm DragonPlayer2021 and welcome to my Redstone tutorial for complete beginners. This video is for people who know absolutely nothing about Redstone. In this video, slash tutorial, we'll be covering most of the components you will need to make your own machines in Minecraft. Also, leave a comment if you want to see another tutorial for more advanced redstone mechanisms. Anyways, onto the video. So our first redstone component is redstone. What? Redstone is the first component for redstone? That's right. This is like the wiring that you need to connect all of the different components. And it can go up blocks like this. It can also go down. Like so. And yeah, it also can go in 4 directions at most. And also, if it's just a dot like this, ever since the 1.16 update, you can make it smaller so it won't affect any other redstone components around it. Our second redstone component is the redstone torch. This can power redstone dust, and this makes the redstone on, rather than it just being darker like so. This is the first source block we'll be talking about, which is what turns the redstone on, instead of having it dark. Another thing about redstone torches is that they can be placed on any side of the block except for underneath, and it can power redstone like this even though they're not touching. Also, the redstone torch can be turned off when the redstone dust is pointing into the block that it's attached to, like so. But whenever the redstone is turned off, then the redstone torch turns on. Our next component is the redstone block. This is kind of like the redstone torch, except it can't be turned off, and it can be powered from any face of it, even underneath. The first component that can be powered by redstone is the redstone repeater. This is the most complicated component that we've seen so far, and it's kind of like redstone in that it can help turn it on, and it's also powered by a redstone torch like this. But also the repeater can make it so the redstone input travels through a block, but it can keep in mind that it can only go through 1 block, not 2. But it's really useful in certain contraptions. Another thing to be wary of with the redstone repeater is that you can right-click it with your mouse, and that'll make it so there's a slight delay. Here's an example of the first ticked repeater and the 4th ticked repeater, the most you can get. See the difference? The difference is really small, but it can make or break a redstone machine. You can also make it so there's like a chain of repeaters. That way it takes even longer. Another complicated component is the redstone comparator. This is quite confusing to understand, but what it's mostly used for is to detect if there's items in a chest, and if I take these out, then there's no more redstone output. Also, if you put more of the stuff in the chest, then more of the redstone line can get longer and longer. So if this chest was entirely full, it could run the maximum of 15 redstone lines. And if you right-click on the comparator, then this third torch goes on. And now this is in subtract mode. So if you grab your redstone like this will subtract the total output of what it's given by the amount of redstone that's going into the side. Like, right now it's at a power level of 15. And, let's see, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. So now it's at a redstone output of 5. See, this one is completely off. This is the first redstone component that can be activated by redstone. This is the piston. And this can be activated from when the redstone is turned on. And as you can see, it pushes up. It can push up entities like players and animals and monsters. But it can also push up blocks. But bear in mind that not all blocks can be pushed, such as bedrock and obsidian. As you can see, if I put this on the piston, nothing happens because it can't be pushed. But if I have polished andesite, then it can push up no problem. It also, the blocks don't come back down when the piston is like this. However, entities that fall like sand will go back down like that. It's also noteworthy that a piston can only push up to 12 blocks at a time. So this is the amount of blocks at 12, but if I just add one more, then it's at 13 and it can't push it. The next redstone component is the sticky piston. This is like the regular piston, except this one can push up blocks, but it also retracts the blocks. However, if you have more than one block and push it up and then take it down, it will only take the block that this face is attached to, because this one's sticky. This also has a piston push limit of 12. This block can't be activated by redstone, the slime block. However, it has a very useful function. And it's used with the sticky piston, as you know, but it's not just a normal block. It can retract all 3 of the blocks. But also, if I go up here, it can still push it, right? But if I add one more, can't pull or push it. You should also know that the slime blocks can be put in any configuration as long as it's 12 or under blocks, like so. It can also stick to other blocks like this. See how the blocks are moving with it? Advanced redstoners use this function to make really cool redstone doors. And I find it really fun to use. Do you not want your slime blocks to be sticking to other blocks? Do you need a break from the stickiness? Well, look no further than the honey block. This is much like the slime block. This is quite a fun little component. This is called the observer, and it even has a little face. Ain't that right, buddy? This is an interesting block, as it lets out a brief pulse of redstone energy when the block in front of it changes. I really like using the observer. Another trick I like to use is making a chain of observers, so that this one's this one sees that this one changes because it's activating. And this one sees that one, and this one sees that one. And then it just goes to here eventually. And it's just really cool, isn't it? And the little face. Another thing is you can make a redstone clock, which I think is one of the easiest things to make. It's where they set off a chain reaction, and they see each other being activated. As you can see, the red dot there is blinking. For an example, for seeing a block change state, it can see that the piston, now it's extended, and now it's not. It can also detect if there's a block in front of it or not. See? And it's really cool, isn't it? Also, recently I've downloaded Optifying, so now I can zoom and the videos might just be a little more clear. Our next item is a hopper. The hopper can pick up stuff, any item, any single item. So, I'm just going to use stone as an example, but it can pick up any of these. So, if I just drop these, the hopper can pick up these items. And this hopper, since it's connected to the chest, it'll discard them in the chest, but if there's nothing for it to connect to, then it'll just stay in the hopper. However, if there is a hopper below, if there is something below the hopper, it can go into it. The only direction it can't go is up. Another thing is that it can even pick up stuff through slabs. Just anything that isn't a full block, it can go through. See, if I throw these onto a full block, it won't get picked up. Well, I can pick them up still, but the hopper can't. Like so. Another thing is, the comparator can detect how much stuff is in the hopper as well as a chest. See, there's a stack now. Now there's half a stack. 16, and so on and so forth. However, it can only go a certain amount of blocks before the slots run out on the hopper. Next thing is the dispenser. The dispenser has a face, but most importantly, it can shoot out stuff. Whenever it's powered, it can shoot out stuff such as arrows, snowballs, even spawn eggs, and eggs, just regular eggs. It can also place down and pick up things like lava and water, and even powdered snow now. And it can even shear sheep when one's in front of them. So yeah, pretty useful. Also, hoppers can run stuff into the dispenser. So that makes it pretty useful for like a chicken farm, for instance. Next up is the dropper. I think we'll move on to this side now. The dropper is much like the hopper in that it spits stuff out of its little face right there. However, this does it a bit differently. See, instead of activating the projectiles, it just throws them on the ground. And instead of placing down the lava or water, it just spits it out in the bucket. So yeah, that's pretty much the only difference between the two. And that works for arrows and spawn eggs, and yeah. Next up, target block. The target block is when you shoot into the target block. It lets out a redstone input, and the farther you are away from the center, the less the redstone output goes. So if you get a straight bullseye, it goes up to 15 redstone dust, which is the maximum. It's also worth noting that no matter where the redstone is, as long as it's on a side, it will connect to the target block. That's useful in mechanisms in the future. Next up is the lever. Honestly, this is probably one of the first ones I should have showed you. But anyway, the lever can be placed on the floor, on the wall, or even on the ceiling. You can even make like a little saw out of it. And it powers redstone, like the redstone torch does, only you can also turn it off. Oh my goodness. And it's pretty much like a light switch, so yeah, you can like flick it on and off and on and off. Kind of mesmerizing, isn't it? So anyway, the next redstone component is the lightning rod. The lightning rod can only activate during a thunderstorm. It doesn't have that many uses, but when it's struck by thunder or lightning, then it gives off a short pulse. I'm gonna drag out my sentences as long as possible. Until that happens, sometimes it'll catch fire. But look at that, the redstone like activated for a second there. So pretty useful, isn't it? Gonna happen again. No. Weather. Next up, Tripwire Hook. The Tripwire Hook is one of my favorite components because it's good for traps. See, the Tripwire Hook can be activated by string placed in between the two of them, and they have to be on the edge of a block. But whenever someone steps on it, it's activated. So this, you can see how this can be really useful for like traps. Like if pistons moved the blocks beneath you and then you or something like that. Yeah. The tripwire can also be placed up to 40 blocks away from each other. That's pretty good, isn't it? And the pressure plate. There are 3 different types of pressure plates. There's the stone, there's the lightweighted, and there's the oak. For each of these, they have different uses. With the stone, it can be activated by player or by mod, but not by items. Lightweighted can be is activated by the number of different items there are on the pressure plate. So if I just grab a bunch of villagers, then you can see the redstone power increases. Oh, now I have to take care of these, don't I? Kill. Oh. Anyways, we're back. The next pressure plate is the wooden pressure plate. I like this one the most because it has a lot of variety in the different types of wood. And also, it can be activated by items. So I just think it has the most uses. But that's controversial. Up next is the button. This is also a basic one that I should have showed you at the beginning. But this is like the pressure plate and redstone torch and lever. Yeah, it's like a lot of things. But it only goes on for a certain amount of time. And there's 2 types of buttons, the stone button and the wooden button. The wood stays on for a bit longer than the stone, as you can see. So, that can be useful, but it doesn't matter that much. Like the lever, this can be placed on the wall, bottom, or top of the blocks. Up next is the trap chest. Trap chest is also another good one for traps, and when you open it, it sets off a redstone signal, but it's only one, so you'll have to use a repeater in order to help it a bit. There's also a difference between the trap chest and the normal chest. The trap chest has like an orange ring around the middle of the villager knows, while the normal chest doesn't. So when you're rummaging through your friend's things, be wary of the trap chest. Up next is TNT. The TNT is quite an important redstone component because, well, yeah. Next is the redstone lamp. This is another one of my favorites, because whenever it's activated, it gives out a light level. Wow. And if I do /time set midnight, it's just a pretty block, isn't it? This is one of the few redstone components you can use for building purposes, like street lamps or something like that. Next is the note block. The note block can make music. Very nice. And depending on the block underneath of it, it makes different sounds. And you can right-click it to tweak it, or in survival you can just punch it to make the noise that it's on. And it can be tweaked up to 2 octaves, I believe. You can probably find a whole bunch of tutorials on the note blocks, but the main thing is it can be powered by redstone, and yeah. There's some crazy people who make crazy stuff out of these. And last but not least, the daylight detector. These, well, detect the daylight. And depending on what time of day it is, it can give more or less redstone output. You can also right-click it to make it so if it's activated by day or night. Right now, it's activated by night, and now it's day. It's pretty much like a solar panel. And if I make it nighttime, see, there's only 2 redstone activated, and then if I make it midnight, and if I make it at midnight, there's nothing. But if I tweak it, ooh, now it's activated. Personally, I think these 2 blocks go hand in hand. Because look at that. That's so pretty. Wow. These can be made into like street lights, and whenever it turns day, it turns off. I approve of this. So that's pretty much it for my redstone tutorial for complete beginners, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned a thing or two in this tutorial. And if you want to see a tutorial for more advanced redstone stuff, you can leave a comment saying, "See y'all later."